and the senses,
and the fire of mental control.
and the fire of mental control.
And others, the regulated householders,
And the others, the regulated householders,
sacrifice the objects of the senses
sacrifice the objects of the senses,
in the fire of the senses.
in the fire of the senses.
Okay, put the question to you. Do you want to do it for us to charade it out or to read? What would you like? Charade? Close the books. Okay. Close the books. The members of the four divisions of human
Body,
life,
life.
namely the
Brahmacharis,
the
Grihasthas,
the
Vanaprastha.
this is the forest, right?
Yeah, Vanaprastha.
And the
Sannyasis.
are all meant to become perfect
Yogis.
yogis or transcendentalists. Since human life is not meant for our enjoying sense
Gratification.
like the animals, the four
Varnas.
orders of human life are so arranged that one may become perfect in spiritual life. The brahmacharis, or students, under the care of a bona fide
Spiritual master,
control the
senses, mind,
by abstaining from
Sense gratification.
sense gratification.
that's sense gratification. A brahmachari
Hears. Listens.
no,
Listens.
okay, hold on. The brahmacharis are students in the care of here spirit. A brahmachari hears only words concerning
Krishna.
consciousness.
Consciousness. Hearing.
Hearing is the basic principle for
Under.
Standing.
and therefore the pure brahmachari
Upanayana.
engages. Of course, he's not supposed to, but engages fully in Hare Namam Kirtanam, chanting and hearing the glories of the
Holy
Holy.
He restrains himself from the vibrations of
No.
Material
and
energy.
sounds.
Sounds.
Okay. Let's see, I lost my place. Thanks a lot. And his hearing is engaged in the transcendental sound vibration of Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Similarly, the householders who have some license for
sense
Sense
gratification.
gratification perform such acts with great restraint. All right, sex life,
Drink.
intoxication, drinking regular water, yeah, right? Plastic water. And
Meat eating.
meat eating are general tendencies of human society.
Tea.
But
Oh.
regulated householder does not indulge in unrestricted sex life and other marriage on the principles of religious life is there
For
current in all civilized human society, because that is the way for restricted sex life. This restricted, unattached sex life is also a kind of swaha
yajna.
yajna, because the restricted
Hold.
householder sacrifices his general tendency towards
Sense
sense
gratification.
gratification,
for
upliftment,
higher, Prabhu, stop cheating. Higher transcendental
Dental.
life.
Right.
Thank you very much. Haribol, you
Haribol.
did it. Okay, thank you very much. This chapter is entitled Transcendental Knowledge. So it's different from any other kind of information out there. We're talking about the science of the self. It's something that's not taught. And that was the criticism Prabhupada would always bring about. You know, he'd go to different countries in the world, I guess more in America than anywhere else, take note of all the facilities, the buildings, educational institutions. But is anybody teaching about the nature of the self? Absolutely not, right? So this is a unique thing to hear about the self. And it is something that anyone who goes through the system of the Krishna conscious culture, they will hear some basic things. Some things like, for instance, Aham Brahmasmi, I'm spirit, I'm not this body. This is quite revolutionary, we would say. And some of the talks that Prabhupada gave in the early days in New York, he would just sort of make a few statements that, we are not these bodies. He'd just throw it out there. We are not these bodies. And of course, it's a great caption to put on a t-shirt. I am not this body. It gives people something to think about. And it's the basis of the philosophy of life, of identity. And in these days and times, people have lost it when it comes to identity. We call it identity crisis. Some people are not sure about whether they're a boy or a girl, or maybe they could be a boy tomorrow and a girl the next day. And there's a lot of confusion about that. And it's kind of a, let's say, a disservice to society to throw that out to our young, vulnerable children who need to definitely have their feet on the ground, to move in this world with confidence, to know at least who you are, and at least look at yourself and see what you're made of, what are the organs, and then identify, get that down first, yes. Okay, there's a distinct line that is made here by Lord Sri Krishna between the students, those in student life, and those who are beyond student life. I mean, let's put it this way, whether you're married or not, whether you're in a relationship or not, everyone's trying to learn something. In the Vedic culture, we do try to formalize everything, said, you get married, you know, and it's not like an in-between common law thing like that. It's, you know, either you're committed or you're not committed, right? And, you know, I think we justify a lot of things, lifestyles these days, because we're just living in the mode of loosey-goosiness. And there's really a need to get firm, put your feet firmly on the ground, which I should do right now, and kind of forge ahead, going step by step, and not really crawling around or pussyfooting around, as they say, you know, dancing, Delia. I guess I'm a real stand-up for some people here. Okay, so there's a line, a marked difference here. Even in the Grihastha life, we're supposed to be some kind of student and do some kind of restraining of the senses. There's supposed to be some kind of control. No. And this is what we're known for. Do you remember in the days when we were having trouble in the mid-70s and we were being under attack, first of all by the deprogrammers, and we were also being under attack by, you know, different individuals who took us to be like cult members of a sinister cult. And in some cases we had to go to court, and the famous court case with Judge John Leahy, I think was his name, you know, he made a statement that we are coming from a tradition from India that dates quite a ways back there, and that we're following an old tradition that dates back thousands of years, actually, and is followed by millions of people. So in this particular, the judge had ruled that we're bona fide. We've got, we're steeped in certain traditions, and we're just not a fly-by-night group. And that's what was the perception in the beginning by some of our, local people. They just didn't know where to place us. In those days, there were not even any kung fu movies, out there. So people couldn't understand who are these bald creatures here and going out in the public, and they had no reference point, right? So there was, we had some difficulty. We were charged for brainwashing people, and Prabhupada's retort to that was, tell them that we do wash brains, that your brains are stool bound, so therefore there's a need to wash them. And when it comes to mind control, well, the whole idea about the yoga process is to learn to control your minds. And when you control your kids. We don't leave the doors open, let them run wild when they're babies. Same thing with pets. You have them on a leash. There has to be control in life, So anyways, we were, let's say, equipped by Prabhupada's arguments to defend ourselves, against these allegations that we're sinister, we're up to no good. I remember on one of the walks I did across Canada, that's the third time, it was Janmashtami Day, and I was in a place called Prince Edward Island. Anybody ever heard of that? Well, there was an old railway line. They took out the ties and they just made it like a walker's paradise, a cyclist paradise, and it was on the Janmashtami Day. I remember, trying to cover, it's, 50 kilometers a day, which is about, 30 something miles, yeah. And we didn't have a cell phone in those days, and I know the media was trying to find me, but I was on this, what was an old railway line, and every mile or so, if you go by the old British system, they went by miles, there would be a crossroads. They could try to find me, but I just quickly moved on, and finally they did find me. Okay, members of the media came and they asked questions, and I could proudly say, well, this is a very special day. It is the day when Krishna was born, and there's 1 billion people on the planet that are celebrating this day worldwide. So it was in a place like Prince Edward Island, which is quite white, quite conservative, and it's an island. Has anybody ever heard of Anne of Green Gables? Oh, that's where she comes from. Okay, it's a fictitious story, but it's a popular, character for the girls and for Japanese people. Anyways, we were proudly able to say that. This is Janmashtami. And when I walked across America, I came to one particular town. It was in the Midwest. What was it called? Denver, Colorado, somewhere out there. Definitely before California. Before Nevada. I think it was Nevada, yeah. And it was Janmashtami Day. And we were scheduled to do a radio interview. And they're fun. They really are fun. To be there live and so myself and 2 support persons, we were in the vehicle listening to the radio show just to capture what it's all about. They're all pretty much the same. Usually the anchor persons are, it's a man and a woman, and they're not married, but they just are there every day without rain or shine, they're there. So they were just saying, so today is blah, 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 August, whatever it was. And today is the birthday of blah, blah, blah. I think they said Ethel Merman. I don't know if you know who that is. And the birthday of blah, 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 and this and that, and this and that. And then it was, they were very, specific as to when I could walk into the building. So I did. I walked in there, and then I introduced myself. And I said, oh, and by the way, I just want to let you know, today is also the birthday of Lord Krishna. So the anchor man, he said, oh yes, Krishna, who spoke Bhagavad Gita, the words of wisdom to his warrior friend Arjuna. So well read, some of these people are. So we are just going about trying to broadcast the glories of Krishna, and let people know that we're not just a small group of individuals, that people all over the world honor the Supreme Lord Krishna. And nowadays people are a little bit like that, a little more informed. I'll be walking, and then sometimes people mistake me for being a, moving traffic cone or something from the distance. Or I'm mistaken for being an escapee from a prison because of the color. But once they kind of figure out, they'll pull over and they'll ask a lot of questions. And so they said, so I know a little bit about Krishna. Yeah, Krishna, India, right? Yeah. Or Vishnu, something to do with Vishnu. So they come out and ask these questions, which would not be the case 20 years ago. So people are just getting more educated about what our culture is all about, and it's actually great to hear that. So the brahmacharis, who before they settled down, and of course Prabhupada established something for the ladies too, brahmacharinis, nuns, whatever you want to call them, and it's a period for them to study, to read the Shastra, and it prepares them for the next ashram, because 99.99999, et cetera, of the men and women are going to get married. That's the fact, right? And so before they get ready for that big, what shall I, jumping through the hoop, there is a certain amount of preparedness that's required. You have to learn detachment, you have to learn compromise, you have to learn how to communicate, you have to learn to do reflective listening and to understand what the other person, what's going on in their mind. And if you're a guy, you spend a little time extra listening, because the guys talk less, they think more, maybe overthink. And the gals, they talk a little bit more, and I guess they think very frequently. But they want to be heard. And a man usually is of the opinion that, well, okay, honey, I'll fix the problem. Don't worry about it. And then we can end that. Can we get on to another subject? And the lady will simply say, no, I don't want you to fix the problem. Don't get the tools out. Don't bring the toolbox in. Don't fix the problem. I don't want you to fix it. I just want you to listen to me. That's all. Okay. And the man has to be given a little free time to be in his time in the cave, or go out in the lake in the canoe and by himself. There has to be a little bit of, an understanding that there's two different planets, they've come together, and they like each other for a while. And then after a while, the yajna begins, because the romance is short-lived, very short-lived, and then after that it's real business, right? Learning how to share, learning how to complement each other, and it's a beautiful complementary situation. It's not competitive. They're meant to just kind of help each other and complement. And so it's at that stage you're very busy, because there's changing of diapers, there's preparing of meals, there's bringing Pinky to the ballet school, and Ravi to the hockey games, practices, and swimming lessons, all those kind of things. So you're very, very busy. You're doing all the shopping, you're doing the maintenance, so on. There isn't so much time for study. So therefore, young men and young women, before they get buckled down, before they get, let's say, before the knot is tied, this is necessary to study about the science of the self. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. These are the two particular books that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu loved to quote when he was speaking with scholars. He just thought those were it was the creme de la creme of philosophy, of knowledge, of wisdom, and again, the secret of life. Yeah, so that's what grahastas are up to. And then after some time, the way it's supposed to work, it doesn't happen too often, but when the kids are kind of on their own, then it's a new phase of life. And it's time to maybe retiring, resigning from doing certain things. It's time now to, let's say, buckle down onto doing something else. Get back to what you were doing before. Maybe a little bit more study. Oh, let's go for some travels. Let's go to visit places of pilgrimage. Let's check out all the ISKCON centers in North America. There's quite a few, and they just keep growing. So, your summer's all taken up, with the beautiful pilgrimage, going on parikrama of sorts. And most people don't take sannyas, but the point is that you kind of crystallize, or you concentrate on your spiritual life when you get on it, those more mature years. you know, when the aches and pains, physical aches and pains have been enhanced, that's the time to, you know, let's say, ease up on take up on your spiritual life a little more seriously. You know, it goes, isn't it too bad that when you are the most energetic, when you are the strongest, when you're quite sharp with memory and everything, that you can't just enjoy life, you have to start to pay for, you know, all these, let's say, facilities that are like physical assets. You know? It's too bad it never runs that way. It's only when the energy starts to wane a bit, that's when you can't enjoy as much, and that's basically a time when maybe you've got a little bit of cash, a little extra cash, and then you can enjoy life a little bit more. If you follow those patterns and line everything up nicely, as it's explained in the Vedas, then it's quite a wonderful thing to do, you know? When we get to about 50, we're not you don't have the oomph anymore. You're not supposed to. So it's kind of superficial when people start to freak. I think they call that the midlife crisis. Oh, I just don't have my virility anymore. I don't have everything sagging. You know, nothing is nothing is firm. And so people are just kind of like curious of what is this all about? It just means you need to enhance your spiritual life, because spirituality is consistent. We are always Brahman, we are always spirit. And this physical side of ourselves, this physical framework or makeup is very, very temporary. It doesn't last long at all, which is too bad. After all, how long really do you have, when do you look the best, you know? Age 18 to maybe 25, perhaps? That's about it, right? And then it starts to really, you know, and if you live 78, 80 years, was supposed to be the average for North Americans now, am I right about that? Life expectancy is like that. You've just got a little window of opportunity for really being Mr. You know, whatever, and, you know, King Tut and Queen Sheba. You know, so it's just doesn't last very long. So the study is important, and you know, the book knowledge is important, and when we truly mature in life, then the application of what is in the book starts to reach fruition. Otherwise, before that, it's very difficult. It's very hard. Whatever we read in terms of being a little bit of a jnani, you know, when we were young and as brahmacharis in the ashram, I know a few verses now. I'm going to rattle them off, you know, during class, and people will notice me. And after a while, then, you know, but you may have, let's say, learned something, but maybe you haven't been able to apply it or really assimilate it very well. It's not that time yet, but that time will come, isn't it? So the education is important, and I believe that's what's being said here about transcendental knowledge. Get to know who you are and move from there on. That's very important. Good. You know, a big part of it is, as we were discussing yesterday in the 9 devotional workshops, is hearing and chanting. It starts with that. Hearing something that is of value, not just anything. I remember one thing that drove me to Krishna consciousness. My parents would always have the radio on. There would be the Harold Smith Farm Markets Report. Okay. And of course, we raised in a farming area district, so that was natural. But it was very bland, very boring for me. And most of what was on the radio, which was always on, I could appreciate at some point where I'm being indoctrinated. You know? I am being brainwashed, you know? And a big part of it is listening to some like pop music, and it gets played every hour, because we used to work in the orchards in the summertime. So we put our little transistor radio in the middle of the cherry tree and pick cherries all day. So every hour, the same music would be played again. So it was like on a cyclic, you know, pattern like this. So there was definitely kind of brainwash. It was always the same message. And mostly the lyrics at that time were about I love you or I hate you, you know? And it was really more to do with that rasa, that particular rasa, about love, conjugal, very, very immature kind of conjugal love. Now the music has, I guess when some of the 60s came around with Bob Dylan, who's, made a little bit of a comeback, because of the movie, right? Haven't seen it. But coming up with social statements, that was something new. It was kind of fresh, The anti-war sentiments were really strong. What are we doing with this Vietnam War? That kind of stuff. There was a lot of creativity at that time, a lot of radical thinking. And then when I joined the movement, it was just when the disco era came in.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like everything was quite boom, 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 no boom, nothing up, nothing down, just boom, boom. And I missed that whole music, because I became a devotee and listened to the Maha Mantra. And people say, hey, Swami, you haven't missed anything. Yes. So then it got, the music started. Yeah, I talk about music because it's that thing which really does brainwash.
Yeah.
It's that thing which really does a number on people. And it sends strong messages. A lot of the music then turned into something very sour, full of hate, anger, violence, all those kind of things, all those nasties. If we're wondering why, gangsterism is on the rise, we wonder why violence and crime and use of guns and blood is squirting all over the place. It's because that's what the message is, subliminally entering into the minds of the vulnerable young people. What do you expect? And if there's people are putting fires all over the place, what do you expect? That's what, if cars are crashed, what do you expect? Guns everywhere, blood. That's what we're hearing. So how many times has the Statue of Liberty been blown up into little smithereens, There's some subliminal messages being sent out there on what some people can do. And every time I see this very distasteful kind of graffiti, there is some graffiti which is quite wonderful and artistic, because some of the buildings are so plain and very square. It's a box culture we live in. They deserve to have something painted on them when it gets very scruffy, because you can understand those are just kids. Usually it's boys who are not being loved. They're not being given attention. They've never had a life, and so they're misdirected, and they can't think of anything better to do but to make some kind of statements. I want attention. So this is really the problem. So it's good to start off on a good note and start off in the early period of your life to hear a little bit about Shastra and to just get a little strict about that. And that's what this is really all about. Krishna is taking Arjuna through the system, the Varna and Ashram system. Chatur Varnya Mayashvistam Guna Karma Vibhagsha. So guna means it's the nature of a person, and karma means your behavior, how you react to things. So based on those two things, we fit somewhere, we're slotted somewhere that makes us feel comfortable. But all along, doesn't matter what age we're at, what phase of life, we're supposed to have some training, some discipline, some control. It's actually an incredible blessing to have discipline. And those of us who came to Prabhupada's lotus feet in the early days, we were getting that. We were attracted to him. He was like a grandfather figure for us. And he was telling us things to do. Don't take alcoholics. Don't take any narcotics. Don't take drugs. Don't do this and don't. So many things that really we benefited from in the end. And as far as sense gratification goes, it's written right here. There is some license. How many people remember that? License for sense gratification. Have you heard that before? License. We're quite, entrenched in the lingo of ISKCON. License for sense gratification. But even that is very, very controlled. When people hear about how some devotees live this, really? Yeah, really. We're all about the old order, we're all about old school items, you know? And because the sort of the current affairs have not worked out. Just to put it in plain English, it ain't working out. Now, ain't is not a good word, right? But it's also part of regular parlance of today, ain't. You know, if you want to write a song, you have to put ain't in there. you know. And you have to sing with a southern drawl, isn't it? If you want to be popular as a vocalist, you have to sound southern, even though you're a northerner, right? It's all a brainwash, you know? Why can't you sing your own song? Somebody should tell Mick Jagger that, why is he sounding like some southern guy from the deep south? Anyways, I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, but you're spared. So it is a life of discipline. Brahmachari means you are you're controlled and you're not like a loose cannon. It simply means that you have certain restrictions in your life, and you cherish those restrictions. Thank you for giving me discipline. Thank you for being my guru, you know, that kind of thing. And of course, guru is not limited to one person. It's most people have several gurus. It starts when you're a kid. There's something called mother and father, and they're your first gurus, disciplinarians. You know? Maybe you could learn to, you know, that beautiful section of the Bhagavatam, 24 gurus. There's, you know, the dog is not on the list, but for young children, probably he's one of the first. The dog is what you learn from him in terms of being loyal and being committed and being protective and wanting love and showing love, right? You know, I think maybe that'll come up part two. But in any event, we're very thankful that we've got that in our lifestyle, that we've got a sense of self-discipline, tapasa, brahmacharjina, shaminacha, demayanacha. It's something that brings about peace, tranquility, and personally, for myself, I'm very grateful to my dad. He was a super dad, because he gave us chores to do. He would come to where I was sleeping in the morning, 5:30, and say, "Okay, John, it's time to get up." That meant to milk the cow. So before we went to school, we had chores. It was fun. And every summer, he didn't want us to be lazy and mess up and loiter and be a problem, but rather to do something that was contributing to society. So then we just, that helped us so much. When I say us, I'm just talking about the siblings that I have. There's 6 of us all together, and we all helped each other. We talked about that the other day. Big families are good. Your brother and sister, they help you. And there was like 6 of us, and they were a year and a half apart from each other, and we all just helped each other, you know. And we grew up together, you know, just supporting each other, reinforcing each other. So, anyways, I think we can look at some of these old models. It's not a bad thing to do. The new experimentation, like I said before, ain't working out. And yeah, old school stuff. One funny thing that I'll never forget is that I was on my first walk across Canada. It was '96. I was walking along the Ottawa River in Canada, and I had to deal with the call of nature by this gas station. It was run by a Punjabi gentleman, an older fellow, and we got to talking. Then he had to pump gas for somebody, and then I came out. We talked a little bit more, and we were just talking about the old ways and the more conservative ways and how they were of benefit, you know. And basically what he said, it was quite precious. He just said it like this: "Prabhu, anything old good, anything new bad." You know, so, in other words, these experimental things of the current times are you know, meeting with many surprises, you know, beyond our expectations. And so, where there's order, where there is some kind of framework in which to work, it just looks very beautiful. So before I came into, for the yajna, I was looking at some images of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra. We're trying to promote the Rath Yatra up in Canada in a slightly different way, a little more secularized way, but you know. And anyways, I was looking at some of those beautiful, some of my favorite preferential art is, you know, from Orissa. And you know how any Orissan piece, it usually has these beautiful frames, you know, all colorful with flower lotuses and all this stuff and whatever else you have there. It just looks so nice when things are framed. And when life is framed for us, then we have some kind of shelter, some kind of structure. After all, we're in a frame, right? This building is like giving us shelter from the rain and from the jiggers, what do you call them, and the ticks and the whatever else you got out there, you know. Florida's kind of a dangerous place. Right? It's not just alligators. There's a whole bunch of other stuff out there to be a little bit concerned about. So we need protection, and it is the cultivation of knowledge, particularly transcendental knowledge, that gives us that kind of shelter that we so much need. So much need. So thank you. I think I'll end it there. I just want to say thank you, Prashant Mahaprabhu, for arranging this program very much. It's much needed. We need to do more of it. We're here at a retreat place. We're here to relax a little bit more. The worst thing that comes is those Sandy Hill cranes. You know, that's about, we're two over there, and there was one in flight, and they just went berserk, you know, because their friend was up there. And that's about the noisiest it gets around here. Yeah, so beautiful spot. And such lovely people here, like-minded individuals. Of course, some have come and some have gone, but we'll all be back again sometime. And those of us who are in the field of medicine are certainly trying to figure out how to make the world a better place. And the discussion this morning was really good because basically we were talking about being a little bit flexible, which Prabhupada was. You know, just imagine if he wasn't liberal on some level, where we would be at. He was very, very kind, especially to the women, letting them go on the altar, do the things that were not part of the tradition. But you know, because again, he went back to that parable. Well, part of our philosophy. Well, we're not these bodies. We're not man. We're not woman. We're servants of the Lord. So if we can identify more, put more, you know, emphasis, shed the bright lights on this particular concept. I am a spirit. Then wow, just makes it so much more welcoming and accommodating. You know? So thank you, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for the great prasadam. And I'm just saying this in case I don't have a chance to do this in the future. Oh, can I take what's there before you go? Thank you. And what else can I say? Thank you. These seminars are very enriching. And hope you keep up with it. And hope you live long. Yeah, bless you. And all we need is to just have more of you. And there's always complaints. I don't know if it's just in Canada, but there's not enough medical practitioners. You got qualified people that come in as immigrants, and they're denied. So you have to go through our rigmarole again. You have to go through several years. It's quite unfair. Quite unfair. There are enough people, and there's a lot of sick people, and they can be treated. The healers are there, so try to match it up, line it up, man. Come on, what's the matter with you folks?
It's about money.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's all about money. Go jump through these hoops, and it's a dear price for you. In the meantime, people are suffering and struggling. And all their previous education is kind of put to waste, or basically we're just saying, you're not up to our standard. Our standards are very high. You've got to come high too. In the meanwhile, all the kids are on drugs, and everyone's getting pregnant or aborting, whatever, or being very loose in their lifestyle. It's not an exaggeration. Do we have any questions or comments? See.
I really like the point that you're making, because, Krishna makes that point in the second chapter. He says, but a person free from all attachment and aversion and able to control the senses through regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. So you were talking about control, control the mind, control the senses. Yoga means literally, to yoke or to link up to the Supreme through this control. And when we have the lack of control, we see, how chaotic a person's life becomes. Bewilderment. There's not even a hope, for clarity, clarity of perspective. Clarity of perspective means sattva gun. Sattva gun is cultivated by yogic mind and its sister science Ayurveda. And these two things will help us to cultivate a sattvic mind, and from there we have the ability to see things clearly in a proper perspective.
I like the theme that they put out there, the Grihastha Vision team. They say, tightening the bonds that free us. So if you want to get free, people talk about freedom in a very loose way. And the way to get that freedom is like you have to earn it. And that comes through discipline, regulations, regulative principles. It's not the other way around. First tighten up, and then you'll understand what real freedom is.
Tighten up and lighten up.
Yes, that's right, that's right. Good. Any other points? Yes, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much. It was so wonderful. I have two questions, Maharaj. One is, can you explain a little more about, we have to frame our life? And another one is, nowadays the children, when they have to do homework, they usually listen to some music. So they say that that gives them to concentrate on their studies. So can you put some light on that so my son can hear?
So the educators are trying to say, listen to some music.
Yeah, they say.
While you're doing your studies.
They recommend also if it is working for them, they can listen. But like the way we grow up, we feel like we should concentrate on one thing.
Yes.
We cannot do multiple things in the same time. So, but here they prefer that they let them listen to the music when they're doing math or English or whatever. So,
Well, I agree with you that I don't think it's a very easy thing to accomplish, to do 2 or 3 or 4 things at one time. The only person I know who can do multiple tasking is Sri Vishnu. He's got 2 extra arms and do many different things. I was young, a teenager. I would just watch TV a little bit while doing homework, and it wasn't a good formula. But the homework was too dry. It was too austere. It wasn't fun. I think there's a problem with the way they're teaching then and still now, and you learn a lot just by being outside. But kids are inside all the time in a square box with a square unit called a computer. And usually people wear square clothes, and the room is square, the chair is square, and the teacher's square. So, how are you supposed to get fun how eke out joy? It's just like driving, You're driving, you concentrate on what the signage is giving to you, and I don't know. Perhaps our educators today are so frustrated. They're like saying, well, we can't tell our kids not to fool around sexually, so we'll have some machines in the school so there will be safe sex. So I think they're just frustrated, either that or just confused themselves. We're talking about maybe 2 generations now that didn't come out of the war, when everyone was forced to be a little disciplined, I don't know if I prescribe to it. Every day I do some journaling about what happened the day before, and I find I can't have music around. It's got to be quiet. You know, it could be 1 o'clock in the morning, and that's the time when I can just jot something down or do poetry, and I can't have music playing at that time. I just I don't know about their standards, but I think it should be reviewed. We should question their operations. We shouldn't just accept everything. Like I might have some issues with the deity ministry. I don't agree with a lot of things that they have set up as standards, you know. And I would like to be able to talk to them and say, listen, whatever may have been said here, letter that referred to 1972, do you think it applies to today? Everything that was said then? So I may not agree, and so I hope we can question and says, would you consider altering your standards? You know, maybe we could do things a little differently. I don't think it's possible to play Led Zeppelin while you're trying to. That doesn't mean anything to you. Trying to do something with their fixation, and you're playing some, you know, like crazy, destructive music. I don't prescribe to it. I don't think it works.
Well, what teachers are contending with now, I was a teacher in high school, and what teachers are contending with is the all-pervasive cell phone.
Oh yeah.
And you know, what they have, what kids have access to, their minds are used to so many images per second, you know, literally just thousands of images. And you know, it's quite the opposite of control, you know, controlling the mind, focusing the mind. So I think what they're trying to do, and unsuccessfully at that, is they're trying to harness it in to at least 2 or 3 streams of thought, rather than, you know, focus. You know, and so they're saying some music, it'll keep them a little bit corralled, but it definitely does not work. We're not teaching the children how to focus, how to concentrate. Rather, you know, they're just getting into this multi-streaming in the brainwaves.
Yeah. The environment is such. Yeah, absolutely. I think we're just speaking the same thing. Like this is a very nice atmosphere for learning here. These grounds here. It's very, very perfect. You had another question?
Yeah, how to frame, you were talking about.
How to frame? Well, I mean, I'm talking about protecting people from, let's say, the elements, for one, and from, let's say, just self-destructive environments, in terms of, you know, things that people should not hear and see, foul language, whatever. Protect yourself. And when I mean framework, I'm talking about a roof, I'm talking about walls and a foundation, and, you know, a place where you can lock your door, and you might have a gate, and all those, that kind of framework. And for us, it means a little bit the framework of, you know, following those regular principles that we're talking about. That's framing your life, you know, so you're locked in and protected from what could be very damaging outside. And yes,
I want to thank you so much for coming and for last 7 years, all the way from Canada, wherever we were doing, whether it's
COVID did knock out a few years, didn't it?
Yeah, but after that, like, you know, in total we did 7 years.
Okay.
We couldn't do like 2 years, I guess.
Yeah. 2 years.
But thank you so much.
Well,
Hare
Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Yeah, on behalf of Leela devotees also, we want to thank you and want you to come again and again.
Okay. Is it going to be here every year? Is that the plan?
We want them to do it. Yeah.
Well, it's a nice place.
Yes.
We can cover other parts of the country. That'd be nice. Reach out.
Yes.
Every community should have this kind of seminars, workshops. Okay, thank you very much. I guess we should,
Yeah, Krishna.
So this afternoon, it will be like more casual. We are all around. We can, after the prasadam, we can sit and discuss. Because one of the feedback we got yesterday is it's too scheduled, right? Back to back to back. So this afternoon it is all loose. So and Prabhu is here, Lakshmi Narasimha Prabhu, who is a Prabhupada disciple. Maybe we can do something, so whatever Prabhu wants to do. Hare Krishna.
thank you. We learned from the mantra retreat, because I'm one of the founding fathers of that. You can't be to have too many presenters in one day. There has to be, you can't be sitting in the same chair all this time, especially if some people have been up since 4 o'clock in the morning. Got to give everyone a little bit of a break, let their blood run. You're a doctor, man.
You know what I really very strongly, I don't know if it's here, I can't say, but I've been to places, temples, where when prasadam is served out, then they have like kirtan, or somebody's reading, or something like that. And I really feel that one of the fondest memories for me growing up in ISKCON since 1972 is sitting down with the devotees and just talking. Very, very nice, have nice conversations. Because we're human beings, we're in this body, as you said. And there's a very eccentric professor from the University of Berkeley, California, and he was a proponent of it was very important to be face to face. He said, because there's so much of this faces on Zoom and faces on internet, not getting the face-to-face contact, which is very important for our growth and our happiness. And I really, I hope that doesn't happen. I haven't been at the temples much lately because we're a little bit far away from temples. But I hope that that can be. You can bring that back to the temples that you do go to. It's a time that we need to socialize. One of the key components in the happiness research that they've been doing, the psychology, one of the first, and the blue zones, have you heard about blue zones? The key components is socialization. It's like one of the first things. And when you read in Prabhupada's Nectar of Instruction in his purport, he says, ISKCON is an institution for loving exchange. I remember that sentence in his purport when he's talking about the 6 loving exchanges amongst Vaishnavas. And he said that this institution is an institution to foster loving exchange. And we really have to do that because we are personalists.
Yeah, we tend to sometimes get very formalized. Haribol, I do the RT. You never see, some of our prajaris, not here, but they never sit down with you, mingle with you. You don't even know who the people in your community are. Well, what I like to do wherever I go, like I was just in Trinidad, every time we go to Trinidad, we all go to the beach. And then we'll do some chanting at the beach, we'll have picnic together, and devotees for the first time will say, well, now I think I know who you are, or what your nature is. Otherwise, it's just formalities as usual. Yeah. I always insist in the summer, we go in the water. We go in the water and play like kids. Just have the time of your life.
Next time we should go to Daytona Beach.
We've done Harinam at Daytona several times.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun.
How far is it?
How far is Daytona? 50.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
About 50.
But even if it's not with a purpose, other than being with each other, you know? It's not that we're going there for Harinam to convert everybody. let people see that we are humans. You know, that's very attractive for them, instead of just being locked into a bubble. Even when there's kirtan, should we not be enjoying each other a little bit, seeing each other, you know, having the eye contact? Should it just be me and God? You know, and to hell with everybody else. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you very much. Shishi Gaur Nitai ki
Jai.
Here's what I was saying.